It's the night before the Minnesota bow opener, and I am like dying to be in the woods. There's a bunch of rain this morning, now it's calm, 65 degrees, cloudy. There's just gonna be deer moving, but I don't wanna go in and mess anything up for tomorrow or the next couple of days. But I still wanna watch for some deer, so I'm gonna go glass a spot, but just to see if I'm missing something, and maybe I'll pick something up just by the way that things are changing out there with all the corn coming down already. But mostly I'm just dying to get into the woods because it just feels like deer season. I've done all this work and it starts tomorrow, and I just want to do something. I want to be out there. I'm in the bottom right-hand corner of my home state of Minnesota. Tucked into the deciduous forests and vast swaths of agriculture here are a pile of whitetails. And the only thing I have to do for the next few days is build some kind of plan that'll put a buck and maybe a doe or two within bow range. Oh, so my plan was to come in here, glass this alfalfa field on the bottom just in case. There's supposed to be some much warmer weather coming in, and there's a little pond down there surrounded by oak trees, and it's pretty secluded. But I didn't realize that the farmer had cut all of the corn in here for silage, and it's a big dairy farm operation over there. So they're spreading cow shit all over, so it's just covered in flies, stinks, and not a great situation for glassing. So I think I might pack up. It doesn't do me much good. I know there's gonna be deer down there. I know they're gonna be using it, but getting in and out the way that I hoped is kind of a lost cause with not having this corn here, so it changes my plan. Three does. Walking right across to where we're gonna be on Sunday. Those look like big deer, but they're does. So, kind of calling it on tonight, the night before the season opens up. So many deer in the alfalfa. And I thought the beans are gonna be the ticket, especially with the rain this morning. But man, the one field had 23, mostly does and fawns, couple little bucks. I kind of have my week planned around hunting beans mostly, but I did intend to sit alfalfa tomorrow, and I'm definitely gonna do that tomorrow afternoon. Seeing that many deer on properties I can hunt just makes me so freaking excited. I can't wait for tomorrow morning. Well, it's September 16th. It is like finally opening morning. I'm gonna head out and sit this stand in the middle of a 100-acre cornfield with this waterway that bisects both sides, and it allows for really good access. And I'm thinking the deer will be coming back from the neighbor's bean field. The wild card this morning is it is like crazy foggy out, and that stands way in the bottom. So I don't know if it's gonna be real difficult to see down there. I don't know if they're gonna come through there if it's super foggy at that bottom. So that's kind of the wild card. That fog is pretty heavy, but it's lifted just a little tiny bit. Had one deer come in while I was getting up here. Could hear it eating corn on the way in. Blew out, and then a little later had a doe come in over here. I don't know what she saw or what she smelled, but she took off too. So not a great start. One thing I way underestimated here is deer coming from this direction. So the wind is just phenomenal for them to come from this direction. These are just like unbelievable scenting conditions. It's about 10 o'clock. I haven't even had any kind of sniff of a deer in about 3 hours. I'll probably sit this again because I do think I can catch one coming back through here in the morning at some time, but this was not that morning. The thing about the hunting plans we make is that in our heads, they always work out. But in reality, Mother Nature doesn't give up bucks all that easily. I find myself wrestling with this realization every single season. And the more I give into the process, the easier it is to accept that my best plans are often only just okay. So I need to keep trying to figure things out on the fly. So it is about 2:30 on opening night. Had a whole plan laid out for today to sit where I sat this morning and then go sit above there on this little alfalfa corner that's tucked away. Had a lot of buck pictures in there, a lot of deer pictures. But last night, driving around, right at last light, there's a different alfalfa field on this property that was just full of deer. I counted 23. That concentration of deer is real hard to ignore. And so I'm gonna go do that and then see how this goes. And then tomorrow will maybe kind of turn into being my opening day plan, even though it's gonna be a second day of the season. But I think tonight's gonna be fun at the very least. I think I'm gonna see a bunch of deer. Walking in here along this cornfield edge, I mean, they are eating the corn like crazy. And this corner where I saw these deer last night has alfalfa. So I've got alfalfa, corn, and soybeans that all touch within like an acre. And then a really good bedding area. It gets real bluffy back here, and there's a trout stream kind of valley. So as I'm walking in here, I'm getting a lot more excited for this hunt, because I was kind of thinking maybe this is just like a doe hunt, and whatever, I'll shoot a doe, but I'm starting to think I'm going to see a good buck tonight. There's a real benefit to getting at least 3 or 4 days in a row to hunt, especially in the early season. You get to shake off the beginner vibes and start to settle into the groove in a way that allows you to make better decisions and follow through not only with your plan, but what your instincts tell you is the best path forward. It's not exactly flow state hunting like how it is in the Elk Mountains in mid-September, but it's close enough to have a similar feeling. There's a thing you notice in the outdoors when you spend enough time hunting and fishing where there are just certain moments of a slight change in conditions that just make everything hum at a higher frequency.
There's a deer up in the woods. There's a little buck up there. He's walking through the woods about 20 yards into the woods. Now, I just saw a little, I don't know, like 4 or 6 pointer go through the woods up here, and then a lone doe behind him. There's a really, really good pinch point in there that's usually good all season long. And I kind of thought when I set this stand that they would come along the easy route here and eat some corn, maybe pick up an acorn. But seeing them pass through there makes me think I probably need to pull this set and just move it 75 yards and hunt that funnel. Because the other thing about it there is it's really good morning or evening. There's a nice 8-pointer here about 65 yards out. There's a big one behind him. Really big one coming up. See him? There's another deer behind him. Doe coming up. It's earlier than I want to leave, but this wind was perfect this morning, and it's almost switched 180 degrees, and that's just not good for where those deer went. I don't want to mess them up because they're really in play for me tonight. And, you know, so many people say that you can't hunt early season mornings, like you just can't do it. And I'm always like, man, you can find ways to make it happen. And I'm going to get out of here and come back early tonight because I want to get in there, have everything settled down. This is the best scenario for beans, or at least I really like it. We've got brown beans on top, but it's really hot today, probably mid-70s. Then we've got yellow beans, and then these little patches of green beans close to the woods where there's more shade, more moisture. They should be mostly concentrated in these, which is, if you ever see this in your hunting soybeans, man, it's such a great pattern to play because it will really concentrate that deer movement. They're not just going to light out and go in the middle of the field to feed. If they have better stuff, the green beans, you can see on these hot days, they're nipping the tops off them. They're not actually eating the beans, a lot of times the bean pods. And this is just browsed all over. I love seeing this.
Normally when it's early season and more like beach weather than deer hunting weather, you usually just don't expect midday movement. I've just settled into this stand thinking that it will likely be hours before my first sighting, but it's only a matter of a few minutes before I can see deer working toward me.
there's a bunch of big oaks right behind here that they're eating on. Then down at the bottom there's water. So it's not a great start to have a deer go blowing out across the field, but it's so early it probably doesn't matter. But it's pretty crazy to have that encounter right away. You know, the kind of growing deer fat and the food plots and naming deer and stuff like that. I really like, I don't know, mystery, I guess, and figuring stuff out on the fly. Always like, I kind of get why people are drawn to like a very curated deer experience where it's like consistent. Maybe I'm just getting old, but I start to see the appeal of that a little bit, but it's just still, I'm still just drawn to that, like, I don't know, that so much can go wrong. When it goes right, it's pretty freaking sweet.
One thing that you learn after enough time watching deer is that they will almost always tip you off to what they can see or hear that you can't. Even if that something is not another deer coming down the trail, but a critter that could alter the course of your whole sit just by its presence.
Reason number 7,000 why I'm a dog guy. A little kitty cat came in here, hunting some songbirds, and wigged out that little fawn. So weird, the things that you see when you're out here. You can't plan for that. I'm hoping there's enough time now for things to settle down and somebody new to walk in. This place has 3 things that should draw deer. It's got a lot of acorns, it's got water, it's got soybeans. And it's nice and secluded, so maybe one of those bucks will show up yet.
Even though it's mostly does and little bucks, it's always reassuring when your sits produce plenty of sightings. There is something I believe about whitetail hunting that is so simple, yet so true. If you're around enough of them, eventually one of them will be the right one.
I shouldn't complain too much because I had 4 deer within shooting range, but I had really high hopes here. And a house cat just kind of threw a wrench in the whole thing. That little buck came out, and that was good. He came out like they were supposed to. And then that cat went down there, and I'm assuming that's what that doe, there's a doe I couldn't see, but she went ballistic, snorting and snorting and snorting. Made these deer all nervous, and then we heard her just blow out of there, and that was it. I don't know, that was a fun sit anyway, other than the stupid tabby cat.
The following morning, I beat a dead horse in the spot between the cornfields where I saw the big deer the previous day. Unfortunately, the wind doesn't cooperate, and neither do the deer.
Just looking at Onyx here, kind of like laying out my game plan. I have 2 spots I haven't hunted yet on this side with the beans. One of them's pretty much ready to go. I know there's some good bucks in there, some does. Then I gotta set up something for the morning because this is a bad idea. I need another option. And so I have a stand that I set up for an evening, but I think could work for a morning, but I gotta go in there, take a look on the way in. I think I have a plan. I think it's gonna work. A lot of hunters get like paralysis by analysis. Where should I go? What's the wind doing? Where are the big bucks gonna be? And it sort of conditions you to ignore your instincts. And so even though I've been thinking for 6 weeks, my kind of plan would be this, and this. With the stand that I was gonna go to, like tonight, it just feels right. Just walking in, looking at all the tracks and all the kind of the scrapes underneath each one of these overhanging oaks and listening to the acorns come down. I go, I think it would be a bad move to walk by this stuff. And sometimes you just gotta play that game with the deer, where even though you think you can, outsmart them, and you can, it's also just part instinct, like just part walking in and going, right here, this is just humming. I need to do something here now, and that's kind of what I'm doing tonight. The wind is just perfect. This is like definitely one of the better setups I feel like I've been in this year so far. Haven't seen anything yet, but man, feels like any second I'm gonna hear something coming up out of this woods. Oh, it's a big buck. Big buck. Max, get on the big buck. Get on that big deer. Max, get on the big buck. Holy cow. I think I drilled him. I panicked because that little buck hit our scent trail, came down, and that buck, he's not the kind of buck that's gonna put up with that. So I had this window, and I'm like, I can definitely get one through there. And then when he turned to go back, I was like, I gotta try to make it work. And I drew. My top limb was hitting the limb. My bottom limb was hitting the limb, so I had to back up. But I think that shot looked good. It sounded like he fell down. He did a mule kick like I hard shot him. Holy cow.
I had no idea that second buck was there. Oh, dude, you said it was a big buck, and this guy comes out, and I see him first. And I'm like, there's no way that's the big buck.
Why are you filming this deer, this buck here? We walked in here. I was like, we gotta sit here. The sign was everywhere. These beans are just browsed. And I haven't seen a deer in 4 hours, 3.5 hours. And I was sitting here going, I cannot believe I'm gonna go a whole day without seeing a deer. And then the little buck came out. And when I walked in here, I thought, should I walk the edge of the field where I wouldn't leave as much scent, but my wind was blowing in there? Or should I cut straight down and risk it going through? But that big buck hit that scent trail, and he was just kind of stopped. And so I had to make the decision, like, do I want to take this shot? He was 29 yards, and I had a V to shoot through. It was a good lane, but, I mean, when I first drew, I was just shaking because I was like, that deer's gonna leave. Holy cow. Holy cow.
Now, I was pretty confident in the shot, but I texted a good buddy to come help me anyway. Then I got down to see if the initial spoor would reinforce my impression of what happened or convince me to give that buck some more time.
I don't know exactly where he was. And I got a good buddy of mine who's coming down here to help. And we'll go get on that trail and figure it out here soon. If he's not within, 100 yards of this field edge, then it'll be time to back out, come back way later tomorrow. But I don't know, the blood down there is real encouraging. I thought he went this way, but we couldn't really see him and he was flying. Looks like he went right here. God, look at this. It looks like a part of a lung. Yeah, buddy. He's a 10-pointer. Oh, that's why that arrow didn't get in there very far. I thought it was here, and it was here. That's a great deer. Oh, he's gonna be so delicious too. I'm still shaking. Well, he didn't make it too far. It wasn't the shot I thought it was. It was a little forward and it blew through that shoulder. I thought it went in the pocket right behind his shoulder, but it got in there and did a lot of damage in a hurry. He maybe went 100 yards and he was just flying downhill. So he was pretty cooked, but man, I could not be happier. This is just a great deer after these 4 days, just like basking in it. It feels good. See if I could get that heart. Look at it.
I'm generally sort of a deer hunting nomad. I like new, different. I'm addicted to the mystery. But there is something about going back to the place where I grew up, to the land where my father and I bow hunted like fiends as soon as I turned 12. It's like visiting an old friend. And I hope that there are always a few landowners down there who will let a guy like me spend a few days on their farm, looking for adventure in a familiar setting.